Alright, so it's been a while since I made my last how to rank up fast in Delta Force video, so I thought I would do a refresh for Season 4 as there have been a lot of changes and obviously new operators have been released since I made that original video. So for those of you who are new to Delta Force, in graded or ranked, there are 7 ranks, so private all the way up to marshal, and each of those ranks has a set number of sub-ranks if you want to call them. So private has 3, corporal has 3, sergeant has 4, lieutenant has 4, colonel has 5, general has 5, and then you finally have marshal at the end. Each rank has 2 rewards varying from cosmetics to weapon XP cards or even titles. Now that we've been over the basics for graded or ranked in Delta Force, let's talk about how you can maximize your SPM to get the most amount of merit out of every single game you play. So obviously one way to get a lot of points is to play the objective. Now I find that I have a much easier time getting a lot of score per minute in King of the Hill versus attack and defend. So on attack and defend there are very few flags active at any given time because you're attacking sectors, and sometimes it is difficult to actually stay on the cap point and make those points, as opposed to King of the Hill where there's flags all over the map, and for the most part it is quite easy to be able to go from one flag to the other and get the cap points. Now granted, you can still get a high score in AD. Most of the time the matches last a lot longer, so you end up getting less score per minute than you would in a King of the Hill match. Now this can vary from player to player, as some players are just insane in attack and defend and can get a really high score per minute. The next one, which is probably the best way to get a very insanely high SPM, is to destroy vehicles. And I can't emphasize this enough, destroying vehicles just nets you so much experience. So each vehicle in the game has its own experience when you blow it up, and they actually changed it so that even if somebody exits the vehicle and you don't actually destroy it with somebody in it, you'll still get the XP associated with that specific vehicle a short period after the person exits the vehicle. So preventing people from just jumping out of their vehicles and then you get absolutely no points for destroying it. So going down the list of all the vehicles, the quad will net you 180 XP, assault vehicle 450, anti-air 720, tank destroyer 720 XP, IFV 720 XP. Both helicopters will get you 900 experience, and then the light tank and the main battle tank both give you 900 experience as well. So that is just flat out experience for destroying the vehicle. That's not counting if you get any kills in there. You can probably get close to 2,000 if not more experience for a singular vehicle destroy if there are a few enemies in it. And overall, the best character in my opinion to destroy vehicles on vehicle heavy maps is Uluru, because you get that extra rocket. So his loitering munition is just chef's kiss at taking down a vehicle when it's on his last legs and actually driving away, because it allows you to control the rocket yourself. So even if the driver is going super fast trying to get to a vehicle repair station, you can just fire off the loitering munition and then just aim it at them and then boom, profit. Obviously, whenever you can revive, resupply, repair vehicles, this all gives you XP while you might not be doing anything else that can give you XP at that very specific moment. And then obviously getting kills gives you a good chunk of XP as well. The basis of getting high SPM is do as many things as you can at any time. Try to be static as little as possible, always be moving around, always be doing something that will grant you XP, which will in turn give you higher score per minute and then give you merit at the end. Bouncing off of this, here are a few extra things that you can do in a Delta Force match to get you more XP. So in the assault vehicle, you have the ability to spawn a beacon that players can spawn on, so your teammates can spawn on. These, when placed strategically, can give you a nice chunk of XP. Now they last a certain amount of time, so you really have to be sure that you're placing them where your teammates might want to be spawning in, so close to an enemy flag of some kind. If you put it down, and then I honestly just type in chat that there's a team beacon down or the assault vehicle beacon down so people can spawn on it, and every time somebody spawns on that beacon you are just racking up those XP points and increasing your score per minute. Same thing can be said for the strategic beacon that you can buy for 8,000 points once you get enough points in a game. So these again, very useful. I would say they're better at boosting your SPM than the cruise missile, because sometimes the cruise missile can be a hit or miss. If you call it on a bad flag where there's not many enemies or no enemies, then you just wasted 18,000 points to get exactly 0 XP. So a surefire way of getting XP is using the strategic beacon and placing it somewhere that is tactical around an enemy flag, or when you get a good flank off, putting it somewhere around there is a great way to get a lot of XP. So talking about character specifics. So in maps like Shafted or Knife Edge where there are no vehicles, you might be like, how am I going to get high XP or score per minute in these specific maps? Well, don't you worry about that. I have you covered. So if you're playing Luna, same goes for Hack Claw. So Luna's bow, spam it as much as you can in high traffic areas. So every time you get a spot with Luna's bow, you get 30 XP. So if there's 10 enemies in the vicinity, you're going to get 300 XP. And then obviously if teammates kill those enemies, you'll get even more bonuses because you assisted them in taking down that specific target. For Hack Claw, anytime that her flashbang is up, so her little flash thing, or her ultimate, pop it, and anytime you mark somebody or you track somebody with her little hacking thing, it gives you score. Now, it's not as consistent, I would say, as Luna's bow, which gives you just an insane amount of XP when you're spamming it every time it's active in the high traffic areas. When you're playing either of these characters, use the spawn beacon, right? So spawn beacon, only your squad mates can spawn on it, but if you put it in an area that is, again, strategic, when you get good flanks off, people will spawn on it trying to get those back flags, specifically on Shafted. Knife Edge as well, if you have a spawn beacon on either side of the map, which is not your gimme flag, put a spawn beacon down and then your teammates will spawn on it and it will net you some XP. Moving on to another character that's really good in infantry only maps to get really insane high SPM is Shepard. So Shepard, his Sonic Paralysis drone is just insane, right? So the Sonic Paralysis drone, you have two ways to actually use it. So if you just press the keybind for the drone, it will launch it forward and do the Sonic Paralysis once. But if you hold down the keybind, it will lift up in the air and do it 4 times in a row. I think it's at a 4-second interval. And if there's anybody in the vicinity, so you can do it behind a wall so the drone stays safe and nobody can shoot it down. If you do it behind a wall where there's a flag that's being contested and there's just a ton of enemies, you're going to get so much XP because every time the drone goes off, you're going to be Sonic paralyzing all those people on the flag. And then obviously if people or your teammates get kills on those enemies on the flag, you get even more XP. You can also use the active denial system on the maps where there's heavy choke points. So put an active denial system down, and then anytime that an ordnance or a throwable comes towards the active denial system, it will just flat out deny it, so destroy the explosive. It'll give you 50 XP per. So that's a great way of getting passive experience for doing basically not much in terms of like actively playing, right? You're just putting down an active denial system and letting it do its thing, which is just really profitable in the high choke point areas, because I'm sure all of you know when you're playing Shafted, B and C, there's a pretty big choke point there and people just spam explosives. Obviously, Toxic also has something that can net you a good chunk of XP every time you pop it, which is Adrenal Boost. So Adrenal Boost gives you and any teammates in the vicinity a buff to the weapon handling, and anytime somebody gets a kill when they have the Adrenal Boost active, you get some XP, which is awesome. And her swarm can also be very, very lucrative in terms of getting some score. So when you launch the swarm in an area where there's a lot of enemies, every time you tag an enemy with the swarm, you will get some XP. And then again, anybody kills the person that is tagged with the little dragonflies, you'll get even more XP. And one other way you can actually get XP is by using the construction system. So if you don't know, in season 2 or season 2 or 3, whatever, Starfall launched, they added a construction system that allows you to build fortifications throughout the map, predetermined areas. Now, they don't give you a lot of XP, but if you're on a flag and you're not necessarily doing anything else, or the flag is not getting attacked or contested by enemies, whip out your repair tool or a construction hammer and start building those fortifications, and it'll give you a little bit of XP as well if you're kind of struggling to get enough SPM to be able to move into the higher ranks. And finally, if ever you do have some merit cards, use them. So merit cards will double the amount of merit you get at the end of the match. It only lasts for 1 use, and you can get your merit cards by going to the collection and then going items and scrolling down. It should be right next to the Warfare 2X XP card. It only lasts for 1 match, so when you do use it, try to bring your A game to be able to get the maximum amount of efficiency out of that 2x merit card, because otherwise it's kind of pointless to use them. And last little point to touch on, in order for you to be able to rank up really high, so Colonel, General, and eventually getting to Marshal, just so you know, in Colonel, Typically speaking, you're going to want to stay in the 700 to 800 SPM range. For general, you're going to want to try and surpass the 1,000 score per minute in order to get some decent amount of merit at the end of a match. And then obviously Marshall, you're going to want to bring your A game at any given time. But once you hit Marshall, technically you don't really need to play graded anymore because you will have all the rewards for that specific season. So that'll cover it for my updated video on how to rank up or grade up fast in Delta Force. If you have any extra tips, please be sure to leave them in the comment section down below. Always love talking about all this stuff with the community because some people have some insight that I might not have. In any case, hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good one.